Uncle is here. A little girl ran towards Dylan and raised her hands up and looked up at him with a bright smile. Lily Dylan picked up the girl and kissed her cheek. Isabella watched him cuddling the little girl and her heart felt heavy. He loves kids, but why doesn't he want to have a kid? Her heart felt like a puzzle, but she knew the reason he didn't want a child, and it was because he's going to the army. But what's wrong with having a child? He can stay with the child after he returns from the army. While having dinner. Bella, you should give us a grandchild soon. The voice came from Dylan's mother, and everyone who presents their hummed with agreement. Isabella's heart tightened and her eyes slowly fell on the man who was sitting next to her. His eyes were like a frozen dark forest, hard to read, but everything in there was dangerous. Then those emerald eyes fell on Isabella's ocean blue eyes. We are working for it. Bella will give you a grandson soon. Am I right, babe? Isabella stared at Dylan's smiling face with a shock, and all her mind asked her was, is this real Dylan or a fake one? Didn't he say he didn't want children? He even forced her to take contraceptive pills. Isabella looked at Dylan's eyes and she realized he was acting. Yes, he was acting all the time, ever since they stepped into Hendrik's mansion courtyard. Was that kiss also just an act? A smile. That's all Isabella could think. She wanted to release the pain in her heart. Her own husband pierced her heart again and again without limits. Yes, we do. With a smile that forced her all emotions and pain she was feeling inside. Isabella looked at Dylan and said. Dylan watched her for a while and his lips slowly curled to a smile. Can I use the washroom? Isabella quickly stood up from the chair and asked. Everyone looked at her for a while and gave her warm smiles. Yes, go upstairs, in the second room is Dylan's. Think it as your own room, darling. Isabella calmly nodded at Della with a smile and left the dining hall hurriedly. As soon as Isabella found Dylan's room and entered, she closed the door and placed her hand on her chest and clutched the dress tightly. She couldn't bear the pain in her heart. She thought Dylan was serious but never thought he was just acting. She slowly sat on the cold floor and breathed heavily. Her chest was suffocating and her mind was empty. Unintentionally, her tears came out of her eyes and she buried her face against her palms. She wanted to force her tears back, but every time she tried, her cries increased. Flashbacks surged into her mind how Dylan treated her in front of his family members, kissing her forehead, pulling the chair out for her to sit. He acted like a well-mannered gentleman. His performance was flawless. He had successfully substantiated himself as a perfect husband who unconditionally loved and doted on his wife. He had appeased every relative in his family. It was just acting, but his acting made Isabella happy because she loved him. With a deep sigh, Isabella forced herself to forget everything. She quickly got to the floor and tried to enter the washroom. Why the are you crying? Isabella was pulled back by her wrist and threw onto the bed. When did he come? Isabella didn't even hear him opening the door. Her hair strands were all over her face and she knew Dylan couldn't see her face clearly. Without looking at Dylan or showing her crying face to him, Isabella tried to get up from the bed. I asked you a question, Isabella. It's the first time he called her by her name, but Isabella was just too hurt to be happy. If he called her name before, she would have jumped up and down from happiness. Dylan raised her face by her chin and made her look at him. Isabella looked at him with tear-filled eyes. I am not crying. My eyes just hurt. I also don't know why. Isabella smiled at Dylan and removed his hand from her face. Isabella's small action made Dylan freeze on the spot. Did she just remove his hand from her face? He looked at Isabella's face and she just got up from the bed and turned to leave, but again her hand was grabbed by the man. Isabella turned and looked at him and saw the fury in his emerald eyes. You wanted to marry me, right? He asked as he threw her against the wall. She hissed from pain and looked at the man in front of her. He was heartless towards her. He even heard her again and again. It's been a week since she married him, but yet she didn't get a single lovely word from him. Today, she thought he's different and treating her well, but all were just an act he used to fool everyone in his house. Answer me, Isabella. She shuddered under his dangerous gaze and his shout, so she nodded at him with fear. His voice didn't reach outside because he was just controlling it very well. Dylan shouted at Isabella, but the people in the house didn't hear anything. All right, let's play the game till one of us dies. A cold smirk appeared on his face as he watched her fear-filled face. Dylan was just furious because Isabella removed his hand from her face. Because of his sudden anger, he wanted to see her in pain. Dylan, it hurts. Let me go. Isabella bit her lower lip and asked him because she was just in a mood to argue with him or bear the painful words of him. Isabella saw Dylan looking at her and clenched his jaw from anger. No, not letting go. With an anger-filled voice, Dylan crashed his lips on Isabella. He placed his hands on Isabella's waist and gripped tightly without any gentleness. Don't. Isabella pushed Dylan away with all her strength and wiped her mouth from her palm. Isabella's actions made Dylan's heart suffocate. He watched Isabella with a shocked face and he couldn't understand. Did she just push him away and wiped his saliva from her lips? What the, Isabella? You dare to push me away? Had Dylan's lips slowly curled upwards in a cruel way and he slowly stepped towards Isabella. He gently caught Isabella's chin and raised her face up and made her look at him. Isabella, have I ever told you that you look so, gorgeous? But unfortunately, your gorgeous face disgusts me. Every time I see you, my only wish is to never let me see you in the future. I hate you with my everything because you, destroyed what I wanted. A woman with a pretty face is a really disaster. Isabella's heart shook violently and her body became numb because of Dylan's hurtful remarks. Limitless tears rolled down Isabella's cheek and she just couldn't believe it. Let's divorce. All I want is to divorce and be free from you. Disgusting woman. As soon as Dylan let go of Isabella and finished what he was talking, he turned to leave, but his shirt was caught by the little hands and stopped him. Let go without looking back at Isabella, he said. Instead of letting him go, she hugged him tightly while forgetting the rule he made. She buried her face against Dylan's back and inhaled her favorite scent. I love you, Dylan. I won't divorce and leave you till the day I die. No matter how you treat me, you can go to the army and I won't stop you. I'll wait for you, and after you come back, we can have children. Dylan felt her hot tears through his shirt and his heart tightened because of the way she spoke. He stood there like an ice mountain without saying anything or doing anything. He didn't even stop Isabella from touching him. His eyes slowly fell on delicate hands that were hugging him. He watched the sparkling ring on her finger for a while and unintentionally smiled. She said she loves him, but no matter what, he's going to divorce her. There's no coming back after I leave. Stop dreaming and you better sign the divorce papers. Dylan turned to Isabella and again pushed her against the wall with those words. I'm sorry, but I don't want to. Isabella shook her head and smiled at Dylan. Dylan's heart is covered with something annoying and strange. He pressed himself against her body and looked into her ocean blue eyes. You're going against my word. His voice made Isabella shudder, but she forced herself to calm down and she nodded at him. With an evil smirk, Dylan grabbed Isabella by her waist and pushed her onto the bed. He watched her fear-filled face while unbuckling his belt. Dylan, what are you doing? We're in your house, please. Isabella spoke as she tried to get out of bed. She didn't want to feel the pain that he gave her on the bed. He wasn't gentle. He was just venting his anger towards her while having sex. So, she was scared to be in the same bed as him. No, let them see how good our relationship is. With an evil smirk, Dylan got into the bed and removed Isabella's clothes. Isabella struggled, wanting to break free from his hurtful touch, but she failed like always. Dylan, please don't. It hurts when you want gentle. Finally, Isabella's broken and low voice came as Dylan stopped his actions and looked at her. Isabella, divorce me. Dylan's deep voice made Isabella shudder. She didn't want a divorce. She loved him and she would never leave him. Isabella looked into his cold emerald eyes and shook her head. No, you can hurt me as much as you want, but I will never sign divorce papers. I'm sorry. Isabella smiled at him and said, enjoy your time then. Those words made Dylan go furious, and he thrusted into her with a great force. Oh! Isabella cried from pain, but she quickly covered her mouth with her both palms because she didn't want anyone to hear her voice or what's happening inside of the room. Isabella clutched the quilt tightly and closed her eyes. Isabella, you are making things hard for me, so you'll only get hurt because of your own decision. Dylan whispered against Isabella's ear as he deepened his movements. Isabella opened her eyes, which were filled with tears that didn't come out, and looked at Dylan. She stared at him for a while and nodded with a smile that was filled with pain, love, and sadness. Dylan's heart tightened and he chuckled because he wanted to get rid of her innocent smile from his head. This woman is making me fall in love with her. With that thought, Dylan's heart suddenly covered with fear. You shouldn't fall in love. No. He's going to the army and make his brother's wish come true. His fear suddenly turned into an anger towards Isabella and he bent down and beat her shoulder hard. Even if you kill me, I won't divorce you, Dylan. I just loved always. Isabella spoke through her pain and smiled before closing her eyes. The only thing she wanted was to fall asleep as soon as possible because then she won't feel the pain Dylan was giving her. When Dylan finishes his actions, Isabella is already asleep. He got out of bed and stared at Isabella. Her hair was spread all over the pillow in her face, but Dylan could see red lips and half of her face. That sight was just simply breathtaking. His eyes fell on her body that was filled with his hickeys and his bite marks. Some marks are so red. With a clenching heart, Dylan covered Isabella's body with the quilt and kissed her forehead. He sighed and went into the washroom as he showered. Then he changed into grey sweatpants and grabbed a black shirt and wore it without buttoning it. Dylan went downstairs and saw the time was almost 12 o'clock in the night. He rubbed his forehead slightly inside because he went into the room before 9 o'clock. So again, he lost his sanity because of her and because of her taste. Dylan, here you are. Dylan heard his mother's voice and he looked at her and saw she was frowning at him. Yes, Mom. He sat on the sofa and leaned against it while looking at his mother. Isabella, where is she? Dylan watched his mother's face as she sat beside him. And at the same time, Dylan's father also came and sat next to Dylan's mother. She's sleeping. While grabbing an apple from the fruit plate on the center table, Dylan spoke lazily. I was just having sex with her mom. She's exhausted. You want a grandchild soon, right? Dylan smiled shamelessly at his parents and spoke. Dylan's parents watched him for a while and sighed. Dylan, see, you don't have to go to the army and especially, you can't leave her and go. So, if you still think about going, please drop that idea. Dylan's mom spoke as she forcefully smiled at her stubborn son. Of course, you made me marry her to stop me from going to the army so I can't go against your words, right? Dylan's mockery made his mother's heart cold. Dylan, I know you're still angry about what happened, but don't you dare to hurt her to vent your anger. You know her and she was just an innocent girl. Don't be heartless to her, okay? I know you're not because Isabella told me that you treat her well and care about her, so that's good. I saw it today and I always wanted you to be happy. Just have a good life with her, Dylan's mother said with a worried smile because she still couldn't believe what she saw. Her son was treating Isabella better, and she thought Dylan would hurt her because of his anger. But today, she saw her son care for Isabella, and her heart filled with happiness. Dylan watched his mother for a while and recalled what she said.